Hi, this is Marie, and Russell's not here right now, but we're both still standing with Ukraine. And today we have the group from Holderness back again, and we have the teacher, Pam, and two students, Kelly and VJ. And we're pretty excited to hear some more stories from them from Poland. And they are in Poland because they are in conjunction with what the Common Man for Ukraine has been doing ever since the full-scale invasion. And if you want to see more about what's happening with the Common Man for Ukraine, go back a couple episodes and you'll see. Well, it was probably 2 or 3 months ago that we interviewed them, and just before they went for their last trip to Poland. And I think, were you all in that last group that just came back from Poland?
Yes, we were.
So they've got some great stories for us. And Pam, just kind of summarize a little bit about what you did over there.
Sure. So as we do every time we visit, we also carry stuff for the convoy, for the Common Man convoy, which goes into Ukraine delivering much needed supplies, solar lanterns, some clothes, blankets, food, etc. So we arrived in Poland with 9 duffel bags that we shoved into 2 SUVs with barely room for anyone to breathe. Then we drove an hour and a half from Krakow to this teeny tiny village near Zakopane, and where we all sort of unfolded ourselves from the car. But it was really a magical trip. We went with 7 kids, and a lot of sporting gear and art equipment as well for the kids. So that was really, it's always great to go and just meet the kids and witness their joy at being able to walk outside. I remember one of the most memorable things from the first trip that Kelly and I took. We came back home, and this boy, Maxime, that really liked to play soccer with us outside, was back home in Ukraine, and going outside to play was no longer really a smart thing to do because of the mines that are around. And so he was really longing to be back, at the camp where he could just run outside and run around.
When the Common Man for Ukraine was here, they mentioned that some of those mines are hidden inside of toys.
Yeah, right. It's just,
Yeah.
It's terrible.
So, Kelly, do you have an experience from this last visit that's memorable?
Yeah, I think one of the therapeutic exercises that we got to sit in on, they asked us to sit in on, was a drawing exercise, and everyone got a sheet of paper and some colored pencils, and they asked us to be a part of this too. Through the language barrier, we tried to kind of figure out what we were supposed to be doing. So we're all sitting there, and from what we took away from what they were trying to say to us was that they were drawing the kind of their past, like what they've lived through, and asked us to do the same. And I think the first kind of jarring moment of this whole thing was that these kids are sitting next to us drawing buildings on fire and bombs blowing up. And again, we're thinking, we don't have any experiences like this. Nothing that we could possibly draw would ever match up to what these kids have gone through. And so getting to just even see what they were drawing and what they've gone through as in terms of a therapeutic exercise was super interesting to see, and again, really eye-opening. And then was
it emotional for you?
Very, yeah. I think we all kind of sat there. And one of the things we do try to stay pretty positive when we're around the kids, mainly for, their own well-being. This is one of the things that we especially learned the first time that we were there, is that I always say we're there to be the positive, fun, happy people that can come in, especially more recently they are not a huge fan of Americans, and so we're trying to go in showing that we're there to support them and we're there for them. And so although, we're trying to kind of keep the smiling faces, and most of them, through drawing all these things, are smiling and chatting with each other and chatting with us, because that's their normal. They're not thinking, they're not necessarily thinking that what they've been through is worse than most people can possibly imagine. That's just what they're used to. And so they're drawing this stuff while they're, playing other games and drawing other photos. And after they had drawn, the counselors translated to us that we were going to pass them around, and everyone would get each other's papers and we would sort of patch them up. We would draw like hearts and stars around it. And so it got passed around to each kid. So everyone's drawing went to each person. So my own drawing got passed around to 40 different little kids. And as we got them, we would draw stars and hearts. And as I got some of the pictures of like buildings that had been blown up, kids had drawn, like patchwork over some of the holes and everything. And so it was just a really cool exercise, especially for the kids to see that, it can get better, and that if they keep staying strong, that it could get better. And so I think just being there for each other is so important. It was really cool to see how all these kids show up for each other. And like I said, a lot of them are, having fun, but some of the older kids especially, you can tell it definitely gets to them and they're thinking about it a lot. And so they'll sometimes get emotional, and it's really cool to see when, their friends are giving them hugs and comforting them, even though, they've all been through the same things. But it's just really amazing to see how much they support each other, which I think is an important piece of the retreat. Like in whole is like the the support that they're getting from each of the kids their own ages is really cool. Which is why I think it's kind of fun when we get to go. They get the counselor time and they love the counselors, but I think they always think it's fun when the 15 to 18-year-olds come and hang out, because we can bring some fun too. So.
And you have, VJ, something from that last excursion?
Yes. So one day during every excursion that we go on, we are able to take every kid at the retreat to go get a new pair of shoes. Oh. Shoes and socks are something that is in high demand in Ukraine right now. It's just not something that is available to them. So we are very lucky that we are able to fundraise enough to purchase one pair of shoes for every single one of the kids there. And we go to this new, I think it was a Nike shoe store, something like that. And we were,
they had various types of shoes.
Yes, and
Poland,
we were
right?
each given 3 kids, and we were told to help them pick out shoes. So one of my kids, he picked out a pair of cleats. He's very big into soccer. That was his choice. One picked out these pair of the Shaq brands. He was big into basketball. And then I'm looking for my 3rd kid. His name was Matt V. And I find him in the purse section, and I ask him why he's not looking at pairs of shoes for himself, and he says, I'm looking for a purse for my grandmother.
Aww.
I'm trying to give her something just to show my appreciation. She's taken me in since the wars began, and I just want to do something for her. And that right there, it just shows how compassionate they are and how selfless. Like, they've gone through unspeakable things. And the fact that instead of looking for just a basic necessity for himself, he's looking to buy his grandmother a present. It's remarkable.
Yeah, that is remarkable. And so I think it's left me a bit speechless here. So do you plan to go back?
Yes. This summer I will definitely be on a trip.
Yeah, and are you going to go back because you're finishing up and going to college now, right?
I think I'll find my way back. I think this place, it's ingrained into me now. Whether I end up doing it at the same time that, the Holderness kids are going next year will depend on my schedule. But I think I also intend to bring a piece of the Common Man for Ukraine with me to my next stop. And I think I'll definitely find my way back there. I love it, and so I definitely, and maybe I'll come join you guys on a trip or 2 next year.
Yeah, and also this, like I'd mentioned in the previous episode, there's not many people, it seems, average Americans, that still know that there's something going on in Ukraine. They don't. We hear it at the craft fairs and things like that. That's still going. They don't know. With so many people unaware of the situation And one of the reasons why we started this show, Still Standing with Ukraine, was to bring some knowledge out there and keep people informed about what's going on. Do you do presentations outside of all this? Do you inform the community besides the school?
Yes. So we started a fundraiser, as I mentioned last week, and through that we have reached a ton of various audiences through newspaper articles, through speeches, through flyers everywhere. I know I gave a speech at my local Indian Heritage Club, and it was a very interesting speech on Indian Independence Day, but it got through to a lot of people. And our main goal is just to spread awareness about this, because like you said, there's still so many people who just have no idea that the conflict is still even happening,
Right.
much less the impact it's having on these kids.
So this fundraising effort involved you speaking and going out and informing. Okay.
Well, like we mentioned earlier, Maeve, who had come with us on the first trip and has been very involved, her and I got to meet with Senator Shaheen. This is like right around like March of last year. So we got to have a lunch with her, as well as the Common Man for Ukraine folks, and just talk about kind of what we're doing right now, talk about the stories and why it's important that we keep funding and helping, and why it's so important to back Ukraine up. Which has been really cool experience to just get to do that and have kind of, I want to go into the policy side of some of this, so getting to do that was really interesting. Like Vijay mentioned, we do a lot of speaking. I've done a couple different news interviews now, again, just trying to spread the word, trying to get it out there. We've done some even from sitting in our hotel in Poland, so as much as we can to be helpful in that sense, we love to do, because like we're saying, anything that can show support is huge. And along with that, we do a lot at our school. The students at our school, I would say, are very well versed in what's going on right now, because that's one thing that we make sure is that they're understanding it, and understanding why they're helping and why they're supporting. It's not just that you're buying a coffee, but you're helping a little kid in Ukraine and show them support.
So that coffee card that you mentioned in the last show, that's a big forum in itself to inform your community right there in the school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we've got, it's well publicized what we're raising funds for and what the coffee cart supports. And we also run a big dinner every fall called Empty Bowls, and that the students present at that some about their the service work that they've done. And we've definitely talked about our time in Poland working at the trauma retreat.
And that's open to all.
So it's open to the public.
Yeah.
So it's downtown Plymouth.
It's empty bowl, but do you feed them or?
We do.
Yes.
Yeah. So the kids. So while we're in Poland, one of the things we do is we bring these plain bisque bowls, and the kids paint them, and then we bring them back and fire them, and local restaurants. So go ahead.
Tell us more about that.
You get a bowl, and we also took a photo of each kid with their bowl. And so one of our kind of selling points is that, you're buying a bowl, but you're also buying it from this child who made it.
That's cool.
And it's really cool, and people love it. We also do have some Holderness students who do an incredible job painting some of the bowls, but we get about 45 every time that we go to the retreat from the Ukrainian kids themselves.
And you fire it when you get back? It doesn't,
Yeah,
they don't get all...
No, we pack them nice and tight and try to make it work when we go back. We might have lost one or two along the way, but we bring pretty small bowls for them to paint, and then when we get back, people who come to the event get a bowl, but then they also get kind of a regular paper bowl to fill with soup, so that way they can keep their bowl. Yeah.
Oh, that's such a cool idea. Mm-hmm. I like it. And so, Kelly, you've told us a little bit about what you're going to do after you graduate, and now I don't remember if it was this show or the last show. But Vijay, do you have any ideas yet about what you might continue to do?
Actually, I don't know.
You're still thinking about it.
Going in
You've
undecided.
got a few more months before you get to that point.
Yes.
It's okay. I didn't know what your point.
Yeah,
Okay, but you're going to continue to hopefully do some more with the Holderness schools.
Yes. Through my Holderness school career and onward, this has impacted my life in the best possible way, and I fully intend to keep helping out in any way, shape, or form that I can.
Have either of you considered learning Cyrillic?
I've worked on it a little bit. Each time that we've gone, I've spent like a couple weeks prior learning. And when I'm there, one of my favorite activities is actually to learn from the kids themselves certain things to say. It's really fun to sit down with them and try to have a conversation. That's one thing that I think that I especially love to do when we're with them. I think you can, I spend a lot of time sitting with them, asking them different questions. We play different like little games that I can learn new words. And yeah, I love getting to learn it because I think it, again, going back to showing that we're supporting them, I think it actually helps them to understand that like we want to know how to speak their language because it matters.
Yeah.
And so I love getting to, be inquisitive about that and asking them different words and pointing out different things as we walk along the street and ask them what it means. I think I did that every time we walked anywhere.
I Spy is a very popular game.
Yep. I would be like, what's that? And they would be like, and they would try to explain it, and then I'd say it horribly wrong, and they'd fix my pronunciation pretty quickly. And then along with that, they also kind of enjoy learning English. Most of them are learning it in school, so it kind of goes back and forth both ways. So we'll point at something, and I'll give them the English word, and they'll give me the Ukrainian word, and so it's kind of fun. We go back and forth like that.
That is cool.
And it's really fun to get to learn. So I've been working on it.
So how do you like looking at Cyrillic and you've got a P and what
Sounds
kind
like
of
an R.
sound is that?
Does it make an R sound?
It makes an R.
Yes.
The N-looking letter makes an L sound. I came back to school with a bracelet that said Kelly on it, but it looked like Kenny, so my son actually likes to call me Kenny a lot. Because
When I first started learning, it was like, I kept wanting to do the English letter.
yeah,
It's
not even close.
And we're there, and we're working sort of partly in Polish as we navigate sort of the streets of the village, and then a little Ukrainian as we navigate the relationships at the camp. So we're
Learned a good amount.
yeah.
I'm getting there.
Yaksprave. What's up?
Well, you can say pierogi in both.
Yeah, exactly. That's all that really matters.
Pierogi and
Ice
pork.
cream, right?
Ice cream. Ice cream's a universal word, I think.
Yeah, ice cream's good. And so I know you have a ton of stories, and we have time maybe for another story.
Yeah.
Who's got one first?
You have one?
Well, I think
I have another one, but you can go first.
Well, I mean, I have I think the thing I would say is when we were at the mothers retreat, there was much more conversation amongst the women, and so of course Kelly and I noticed that they were definitely supporting one another in all of that. But the thing that struck me was even though I had neither of us really had any idea what they were talking about, we actually understood everything that they were saying. It was like one of those human moments where the emotions and the feelings in the room really transcended the language, and it made you aware of, even though we're so very different, how much we are really all the same. And so it was one of those, we were just sitting there and I'm like, I have no idea what they're saying, but I really think I have a very good idea of exactly what they're saying. And
goosebump moment.
Oh yeah, definitely.
yeah.
I would also say, and we talked a little bit, I know we talked about in the last episode, we talked about the parrot place that we went to with all the different parrots, but we go on a lot of different, we call them like excursions with the kids. We do at least one every day, which is a really cool part of the retreat, is that, while the kids are in this kind of safe place, they're able to go out and explore and do different things that they've never gotten to do before. So I can talk about a couple of my favorites. One of them is definitely the water park, or aqua park as they all call it in English. And they love it. There's a bunch of them who have never actually gone swimming before, never really interacted with water, and so it was really cool. I'm a lifeguard. I spent a lot of time in the water over the summer, and so it was kind of interesting to get to go and introduce them to water and show how fun a water slide can be. I think we had a lot of fun, especially that one day on the most recent trip at the water park with everyone. But anytime that, again, we get to come in and have a ton of energy, and it's great because we get to give the counselors a little bit of a break. They spend 3 weeks doing incredible work with these kids. They are some of the best people I've ever met. And it's nice that they can have some of that time when the kids are all kind of crazy and running around and being kids, which is kind of the goal of most of the camp, is that we get to take on a little bit of that almost like babysitter role. We're running around with them and we're having fun and kind of, dealing with like little problems that come up as they come up, so that way the counselors can have some time to enjoy themselves.
And one form of that babysitter role is playing sports with them outside. So we split our days into 3 parts, I'd say. The first is an activity, such as the water parks, trampoline parks, whatever's on the dock for the day. The second is art therapy that Smokey mentioned. And then the third is just free time. And every single day, there would be a group of us outside in the courtyard playing soccer.
Oh, it gets intense.
It gets very intense. 11 versus 11. We would split up the older kids and the younger kids, and it was such a good time.
I have kids yelling at me because I can't save the ball when it goes in the net. It gets very intense.
Sometimes there was a language barrier. Some
corner,
awkward passes were made, but overall it was phenomenal just to be able to connect with them on such a...
You didn't have the Google Translator out in the
It's harder when we're running around. Like, we can't even talk normally. We're like sweating. I think another fun excursion that we got to do, Maeve and I got to do our first trip, was the trampoline park.
Oh, wow.
That was a lot of fun. Again, just one of those moments that we're so happy that the kids just get to be kids, that they don't have to worry about bombs going off, which is such a reality for them and something that they think about. That when we can take them to somewhere like a trampoline park and they can get all their energy out and have as much fun as they want, is really, really cool to see. And some of the kids that we got to meet have gone through like an immense amount of trauma, and it can be really hard to see. And sometimes if we're hanging out back at the retreat, which like VJ mentioned, we do a lot and we try to have games and stuff, but we kind of notice that there's definitely some quieter and more reserved kids when we do that. Just some of the kids who have been through a ton, and so I think one of the biggest pieces of what we do there is really connecting, especially with those kids. I know I've made a couple connections. There was a kid on the March trip of last year, and he had lost both of his parents and was living with his grandmother, but there were some serious problems, and there was talk about him getting moved into some sort of foster care, but that's so unreliable in Ukraine right now. And so just getting and it was clear that a lot of the other kids didn't really understand why he was doing what he was doing. He was definitely, again, with all the trauma that he's been through, just like a pretty upset kid. Just acting out to get that attention, which is something that, even kids in the U.S. do. Yeah. But it was just kind of trying to help him and show him kind of some level of love, which was something that he clearly didn't have a lot of, and the counselors had explained that to us. And so myself, along with Trace and Reed, who are 2 graduated seniors, but they were amazing on the trip, and we got to kind of really get to know this kid, and by the end of the trip had clearly made an impact in being able to get him, to stay with the group and not try to run away and just have fun, and which really helped again with the other kids. And so I think that some of those moments where we can see that we're having that real impact is really, really cool. I remember Artem and Nazar from the first trip that we went on, when me, Maeve, Max, like we got super close with them too. And it was just, we went to an amusement park. We had an amazing time with them, and just seeing these kids who especially are quieter at the beginning, the fact that we're able to kind of get them to lighten up a little bit and have some of those positive moments in their life is really incredible.
Wow, that's really good, because I knew they had the camp there in Poland, but I didn't know they got to do these excursions out to like a water park and a trampoline park.
We go
amusement park.
Lake cruises.
Wow.
We've gone to castles.
Hikes. We've gone everywhere.
Hikes. Yeah. We did the salt mines in Poland. It was just like
chocolate factories. That was pretty fun. I enjoyed that one.
And that's part of the important like fundraising that we're doing for them too. Is like we're providing some of these experiences that are helping them so much and have these moments where they can just be kids and they can have fun and just hang out.
That's great. That's really great. And do you have a teeny tiny other one?
I'd have to say just the water park. Piggybacking off of what Kelly said, it was such a good time. Me and these 2 other kids, we would race down these slides, and I hadn't spoken a word to either of them. I think this was the second day, but I formed a bond with them in, I think, the first 10 minutes that I was with them. We ran all around the water park. it was very tiring trying to keep up with them, going up the big slides and up the stairs. But the connections that we made in such a short amount of time have lasted till now, honestly. I still communicate with those kids today.
Wow, that's really great. And do you have one last thing to say, Pam?
I had this idea and then it
shocker.
vanished. You know, it just sort of poofed out of my head. It was a good one too.
You've probably had quite a few good ones.
Oh, yes. But it'll come back to me, so somebody else take a turn, and then if it comes back, I'll share. But anyway, but
All right.
sorry, it's gone.
So that, do you have one last little short one, either one of you? Or
Do you have anything else?
No,
I just think you guys are great. I'm really glad that you're out there and letting people know that there's a need still to still stand with Ukraine. And this is what we love to do. I mean, we're all hoping and praying that things will turn better any moment. But meanwhile, doing something is better than not. And showing that you care, even in the smallest way, contacting your representatives, letting them know that you're still wanting some kind of action done is always one of the easiest things you can do that doesn't cost anything but a little bit of time. And also supporting other people that are out there doing this good work, and all the people we've so far interviewed. And I want to thank Concord TV for offering this, the ability to do this show. And we also put this on our channel, Still Standing with Ukraine. And we also are present in the community doing fundraising for Ukraine through the arts. And so we will be at the London Dairy, I should say, the London Dairy Common, Londonderry, New Hampshire, on the 31st of May. And you'll want to be there because there's duża smaczna їжа, which is very tasty food. And that's going to be like pierogies and borscht and ice cream.
Can't forget about the ice cream.
Yeah, ice cream. You can't forget about the ice cream. And so that's the 31st of May. And we're also going to be in Concord at the market days. And not quite sure, but follow us on YouTube and also with our Sunflower of Ukraine Facebook page. And you'll be able to see more information on when those things are happening. And so I want to say glory to Ukraine and glory to the heroes.